So I think that 2014 team, for me, was the best team we've had. And I know I can go back to 94, and I think 94 was a very good team that we had too. And I know that people will say, well, 2002 made it to the quarterfinals. The 2002 team was very good, but they were losing 3-0 to Poland until South Korea scored against Portugal. They were out, right? So then they played Mexico in the next round. Okay, so you give credit for that. But the 2014 team, I mean, so they beat Ghana the first game, which you're supposed to win.
And Josie got hurt.
Josie got hurt.
He was our target striker. Then I had to play target, which is not my best position. I'm more of a withdrawn type forward.
We became a one-forward team with like 5 across the middle. Before we were a 4-4-2. Yeah. So it changed everything within. He got hurt in 10 minutes, right?
Exactly.
I mean, but that was like such a strong roster. You go player by player. I'd like to compare teams position by position to say, okay, who's better, right? And I think it's tough to beat that 2014 team.
All right, we're hearing from Tab Ramos there, U.S. men's national team legend, and one of the best to ever do it. He should be in that conversation a little bit more. Big Tones can attest to that. And then Clint Dempsey obviously jumping in there as well. That's an episode of Kicking It. Make sure you go watch Kicking It. Great show. Kate and Charlie and Mo and Clint do a great job, and always get a lot out of the guests. Big Tones has been on it as well. Great episode, Big Tones. We should watch that one if you're going to start anywhere with the Kicking It series. That's a good one to start with. Big Tones, coming to you. You played with Tab Ramos. What are your thoughts on him saying the 2014 team was the best that we've ever produced? I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think that's kind of what he said. No?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like that's what he said. Yeah, I mean, I make an argument for 2002. I would play that group. I'd also play that group with the 1994 team. They were deeper in 2014 for sure. But you're splitting hairs with those two teams. They were pretty successful teams. I still give the edge to, 2002. And maybe I obviously have a bias from being part of that, but there's no doubt that, Tab's argument holds some water for sure.
Jimmy, how are they going to disrespect the 2009-10 team? I'll tell you that right now.
I think he was representing only World Cup. Okay.
Yeah.
World Cup
but even World Cup team. I mean, okay. If Stu Holden's it doesn't break his tibia, right? He was just coming to life in the Premier League at Bolton. You had Gooch, Jermaine Jones. He committed to the U.S., but he also had a tibia fracture. So I think that's the only difference. If you had Jermaine Jones to pop into the midfield with Stu Holden and Michael Bradley, who are all playing at a super high level. I don't know. Either way, I'll say they're all. The only argument for 2014, Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, is they should have beat Portugal. If they didn't lose possession in the way that they did, because they had the lead.
I was at those games.
They got absolutely hammered by Belgium. It was like,
and Germany,
by the grace of God that it was, it came to the scoreline it did, but it should have been, like 10-1 at that point.
I went to all 3 group stage games in 2014 in Brazil, and the Ghana game, Clint scores very early, then Josie goes out, but we gave up 22 shots that game. Not all of them were on target, but we gave up a lot of chances that game against Ghana. I was in the stands, like biting my nails the whole time. Like, I don't know if we're going to survive this. Ghana got it to 1-1. Then John Brooks scores on a set piece very late for us to win that one. I felt like, emotion aside, a draw would have been a fair result given the amount of chances that Ghana had created. Then against Portugal, we gave that game away. To your point, that was our best performance, I thought, of the whole tournament. Jermaine Jones scores a hell of a goal, and we just didn't hold on, and then we got kind of bit. So the luck that we got against Ghana kind of bit us against Portugal. Okay, fine. Now we've had Germany. We didn't get out of our half against Germany. Germany never got out of second goddamn gear, and they beat us 1-0. But I talked to Matt Beasler and Omar Gonzalez after the game. They never got off the top of their box, right? And that happens, and Germany goes on to win the tournament, so that makes sense. And then in Belgium, we get waxed. That's your point, Chuck. So it's like, I mean, these teams are good, and you do need a little luck at the highest level. You need the margins to go your way. And I don't know. This feels like a little rose-colored glasses about the 14 team.
The 94 team, third place team. So third place teams could get out, and they get out at third place. And then they were up a man against Brazil. And, it's Brazil, the World Cup champions. That was more of a gritty side for me. I don't know. I would say in terms of like,
I would with that team and that attitude.
Play anybody with that group.
I would, no doubt about it. I'd play any of the national teams.
Pre-VAR though.
But
pre-VAR.
We can't have VAR. We couldn't have VAR. That wouldn't work. But I told you, you start getting into a little deeper into that bench, and then that's where it kind of might fall apart a little bit.
Yeah.
In that group, and that's the way it should be, right? We should be deeper as we move on here. That should always be the case.
That O2 team though.
O2 team is sick.
Yeah,
they were good and
team
deep.
Was deep and
yeah.
filled with guys like the 94 guys, like the, have earned their stripes versus like the young up and coming, Landon and DeMarcus were super young.
Marcus, Eddie Lewis was so good. I mean, there was Tony
Sana
and I mean, he was the best outside back in the tournament.
Right.
Frankie Hayduck, I mean, who'd have thought he'd have had the World Cup that he had, man? It was incredible. Johnny O'Brien. Yeah, and Claudio really didn't play in the middle of the field for us. He played as a right-sided player for the most part for us. Bruce decided to play him outside, and Bruce, if you remember, rotated that whole tournament. I mean, we rotated all the time. And Clint Mathis came off the bench, and it's just so it was loaded, man.
Clint on his day, Clint Mathis. I know when we say Clint, everybody goes to Dempsey, but Clint Mathis on his day, unplayable. That guy was so good and so good with both of his feet. It's unfortunate he couldn't have.
Jimmy, I'll tell you a quick story. Well,
I like quick story.
Tab always said that's when you ask Tab who the best player in MLS ever was, he'll tell you Clint Dempsey. I'm sorry, Clint Mathis. We go to a camp in Verona with the U20s. These are the best under 20 players getting ready for a World Cup. I think it was Matt Miazga's group, that group. I could be wrong on that, but I thought it was their group. Anyway, I'm rooming with Clint. Clint's smoking cigarettes, and he's changed now, right? But he's 40 pounds overweight and literally can't move, and we need an extra guy to play in an 8v8. And Clint made his name as a youth national team coach when he kicked the crap out of this U20 team, 40 pounds overweight. And I mean, it was this is a nighttime in Hellas Verona's training facility. And Tab and I were walking. You could walk to the hotel. And we were walking back. We're like, Tab's like, holy shit, man. I didn't think that was going to happen. He demoralized these U20s, literally demoralized them for 30 minutes. Clinton was shot the rest of the training. I had to basically pull him out of bed, just to get to the trainings. As a coach, he could hardly do anything. But the guy was so good, man.
He turned it on for that 30 minutes.
That 30 minutes, he was unreal.
There wasn't enough YouTube footage, right, or cameras or high quality cameras. But if people saw,
it was in black and white, Jimmy. It was in black and white.
I'm just saying, if people got more of a taste of what Clint Mathis was doing, the guy was unreal, and he scored a great goal against South Korea in the 2002 World Cup as well, which I think kind of highlights what makes him special. Just that understanding, that anticipation to be in a good spot to make plays. I mean, he ate me up a couple times when I played against him in MLS, where I was like, wow, I need to get a lot better if I'm going to be able to hang with players like this. So I thank him for making me look bad a few times, because he was his composure and unreal. So I guess a big conversation. I don't know, for me, when I think about the 2014 team, Tab was part of that coaching staff, right? So there's always a little bit of bias to that. And
big on this one.
Yeah, but I agree with you, Chuck. I go back to that Confederations Cup run that we had, and I know the first two games didn't go well. We needed a little luck on our side to get out into the semifinal, but it wasn't even really the Spain game. I was really proud of how we performed, and we made the most of our opportunities. It was that first half against Brazil, where Brazil knew that, hey, we beat Spain, so they can't sleep on us, and we went out and kicked Brazil's ass in that first half.
Oh, we kicked their ass.
I was like, we're here. We've done it. We've taken that step. Honestly, I think
we all thought that.
Dude,
that's what the problem was. At halftime, we're all like, oh shit, we're here. We did it. We're going to win a FIFA trophy. What?
Chuck, I got to say this through the lens of, I was bitter that I wasn't part of that team, right? Because I was still trying to get on the 2010 World Cup team, or at least be considered for Bob. And I ended up getting back into the team after that tournament, playing the Gold Cup in 2009. But leaving that whole bitterness aside, that I wasn't a part of this, and jealous that I wasn't there, I was so proud of you guys, because you kicked Brazil's ass. And I loved it. And then we gave up a goal a minute after halftime, and then it started to fall apart.
Oh, God.
We're not talking about the second half, but that first half, I was like, this group of players at this particular moment against a top opponent in a meaningful competition, I was really proud of that group. And to Ivis's point in our little private chat, if all of those guys had been healthy, if Jermaine Jones had been healthy heading into 2010, if Gooch had been healthy heading into 2010, I wonder what that would have looked like.
Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie.
Yeah,
of course.
Your boy was healthy. Yeah. I mean, I do too, because if I'm Pochettino and I'm trying to get a feel for the U.S. and the history of the U.S., I'm watching the 94 games, because that's World Cup on our home soil. And okay, what were some of those unique moments throughout that tournament for that 94 team that you could see the character, you could see the competitiveness, the grit? Then I'd fast forward, I'd skip 98 altogether. That was a mess. That was a shit show. I go to 02 and I go, damn, look at this run. That first game against Portugal, right? And Bruce Arena, when we had him on Kicking It, said, I kept telling them we're going to beat Portugal every single camp, hammering home that message. And sure enough, you talk about first halves. Oh, what a first half that was against Portugal. And then you fast forward to that Confederations Cup run, just taking, okay, how did we take down Spain? What did it look like? How threatening were we? We had a incredible understanding of how to defend as a unit, but I thought we were incredibly effective at the counterattack, because we'd win it and play me into space. You could play Landon into space. You could play off of Josie. Clint was very good at following up the play and getting involved. I thought we were very good at picking and choosing when to go. And when we did go, we hurt teams. So I think for, Pochettino, when he's looking at each one of these cycles, it's like, okay, now I understand the U.S. men's national team, and where can I take this group now, knowing where everybody is, get them playing and get them to believe that we can do something special in 2026.
All right, let's take a look at that 2014 team, because we built some graphics for it, like the best collection of players we could have had in 2014. And Landon Donovan is on it, even though famously
you can't put him on there.
I'm just saying. I know that he wasn't on. It's just a collection of players for the 2014.
Right.
But so he's on there, even though Jurgen Klinsmann famously left him off the team. We got, I'll read the team so we can talk about it. Tim Howard in goal, DeMarcus Beasley left back, Matt Beasler, Jeff Cameron center backs, Fabian Johnson at the right side, Bedoya, Jermaine Jones, Bradley, and Landon going from right to left, and then Josie Altidore and Clint Dempsey. Probably more like a 4-4-1-1. Dempsey, Clint can go underneath Josie there. But to Clint's point in the clip we heard early, I forgot that Josie had actually gotten hurt.
So yeah, Josie I remember he pulled his hammy. So then Kyle Beckerman slotted into the team. And Beckerman played well. Do you remember?
He was great. He solid.
That was
really
solid. The best I've seen him ever playing. We've seen him in MLS with that Salt Lake squad with Javi Morales. Him and those two dictating the midfield. They were incredible partnership, but he played really well in that 2014 team.
Wasn't DeAndre Yedlin? Didn't he sub in as a right winger a couple times in this game?
Yeah. Yep.
Right. Or I'm sorry, this tournament.
Because Dempsey played the lone 9, so they brought in another midfielder, which was Beckerman. So they played with Bradley, Jones, and Beckerman. And I'd say Bradley was more of like a 10 in that instance. And so they would sub off Bedoya, and then they put in Yedlin on that right wing, and he'd just be Jeff Cameron was either right back or right mid, right back or center back, because Omar Gonzalez also got a run in there.
Who was the other left-sided player? I know Donovan wasn't there. Who I can't remember who played on that left side there, off the top of my head.
I know Brad Davis was brought in. I think he played in Germany only, but they had somebody else. You're right. I don't know who else. Let me see. I had the roster up here. Other midfielders: Beckerman, Bedoya, Bradley, Davis, Mix Discaroo, Julian Green, Zusi, Jermaine Jones.
Yeah, Graham Zusi played a lot.
You got Altidore, Dempsey, Aaron Johansson, who was hurt, I think, and Wando got in there.
Graham Zusi played a bunch.
He did. That's right. Tim Howard, Brad Guzan, Nick Rimando. Timmy Chandler was also on this team. Yeah, John Brooks, Jeff Cameron, Omar Gonzalez, Yedlin, Beasley.
Fabian played on the left, right?
Yeah,
because he played some left back. He played left side midfield. Yeah, he was everywhere.
He was a good player.
Good player, man.
Yeah, I like this game a lot too. Yeah. Interesting conversation, of course, like always, in terms of doing the comparing and contrasting. But I don't know. I still think that pocket of time, that 2009 Confederations Cup team, and then what could have been leading into 2010.
To the 2010
was good. But that 2002 team too, I have a special place in my heart for what they accomplished, and I got to play with those guys in 2006 as well, which was cool.
And Jimmy, I was going to say, in that 2010 World Cup, getting Ghana in the knockout phase, right? It was a heartbreaking way to lose to Ghana in that game, and then Ghana should have beat Uruguay. So if you're looking at paths, right, to a semifinal, that was the path. That was the one. I beat myself up over that for years. So I'm past it. So no triggering me, everybody.
It's actually we're almost 40 minutes into the show, and Chuck, you haven't been triggered yet. I don't know if that's just a Monday thing.
No, I saw good old Dalton Harrison there. Said, Chuck, you weren't even that fast. You know, come on, Dalton. You're not getting
that.
Me.
That's an easy.
Yeah, that's too easy. That one.
That is an easy trigger.